It is a Saturday, the 11th day of March. As you're having a good afternoon, and many thanks for joining us here on Weekend at 1. We have all the latest prepared for you. My name is Mitchelle Ngele. Our sign language interpreter is William Sila. But first, let's begin with the highlights. New opinion poll says Jubilee is the most popular party, with ODM at a distant second. We will show NASA dust tomorrow, Jubilee team says ahead of Uhuru's Tononoka rally. And Kirinyaga governor says doctors who don't return to work by Monday shouldn't bother coming back. Welcome to the program. Let's begin by looking at the opinion poll figures as released by InfoTrack this morning. A survey of 1,500 respondents conducted between February 24th and last Thursday, 2nd March, indicates that Jubilee is the most popular party with 36.4% support, followed by ODM at a distant 22%. Wiper is third in line with only 3.4%. Ford Kenya fourth with 1% support, followed by Chama Mashinani at 0.8%. Amani National Congress is next with 0.5%, and then Mandeleo Chapchap with 0.4%. KANU follows with 0.3%, and PNU at 0.2%. In the regions, Jubilee has a strong control of Nairobi, Rift Valley, Central and Eastern regions, while ODM controls the rest, including Coast, Northeastern, Western and Nyanza regions. Jubilee Party is also the most popular coalition with 40% backing. NASA comes in second with 32%, while 28% of respondents say they have yet to decide which side to support. On the National Super Alliance, Raila Odinga is indicated as the most preferred presidential candidate with 68% backing him. Kalonzo Musyoka is the second most preferred with 13% support, while Musalia Mudavadi is third with 12%, and Moses Wetangula has a 2% backing, with 4% respondents saying they do not have any preference for any of the NASA co-principals. Those are the figures coming in from the latest InfoTrack survey. And here with us to put more perspective into this opinion poll, Jared Okello, political analyst, now joins us here on Weekend at 1. Jared, many thanks for joining us on the show. So this is the latest InfoTrack survey, and very interesting figures being given there. Jubilee Party seems to be leading. But first of all, your take on the figures given.
Well, firstly, thank you, Michelle, for hosting me. Secondly, even though we have not been updated on the kind of variables that were used to arrive at the findings, both dependent and independent, but in the interest of hindsight, I would say that personally I do not have any problem with those figures. This is emanating from the fact that, firstly, Uhuru Kenyatta is already a Jubilee presidential candidate, and he can only control a paltry 36% against an opposition that is yet to arrive at its candidate. Right. And for Raila Odinga to marshal 24% against Uhuru's 36%, even though he's still not yet declared the flag bearer, yes. And besides that fact, he has not even paraded his manifesto to the public, is a testament that Jubilee is on a warpath with the opposition, and all indications are out there that people have lost confidence on the governance of Jubilee administration, and hence getting ready to go home. Of paramount interest also is that when you look at the total findings from the InfoTrack, they did put Jubilee coalition at 40% and NASA coalition at 32%. Now remember that NASA launched itself 2 weeks ago when they were unveiling their route or their path towards victory in August at the Okoa Kenya headquarters. Now, an opposition that has existed in structure for only 2 weeks can marshal 32% against a government or a ruling party that has been in power since 2013.
Is that really very surprising, considering, I mean, the core principles we're talking about did not launch their political ambitions 2 weeks ago. They have been in politics for quite a while.
Well, they have been in politics for quite a while, but that wasn't one of the indicators or one of the variables that were put for test. What was indeed put for test was the popularity of the coalitions under that structure. And Jubilee, has been in existence since 2012. Right. As a matter of fact, could only get 40% against the opposition that, in terms of its composition, has only existed for 2 weeks. So you can only imagine that once the opposition puts its foot on the ground, firstly, to declare its presidential candidate, and number two, to parade its manifesto to the public, you can only imagine what will happen to the Jubilee administration.
But how close really is what is being represented by the opinion polls and what is actually happening on the ground? Does it reflect on the ground? Because opinion polls have been part of Kenyan politics for years. But just recently, the U.S. presidential election really put opinion polls to question. Many of them predicting that Hillary Clinton would win the presidency, and that was reversed by the final result.
Well, precisely so. I think for the most part, opinion polls have been trusted. They have, to a larger extent, given the picture of what exists on the ground. It was everybody's shocker that the U.S. presidential elections that did put Hillary Clinton in all the successive polls as the leader. Later on, when the ballot was cast on the 8th of November, a different result was found. Of course, there are many questions that have been reeling around the U.S. elections, including interference by certain foreign bodies. So, but that aside, I think InfoTrack, to give them benefit of hindsight, as I did say, to a larger degree, have put exactly what therefore appears at the moment. But you have to also know that even though it is claimed Jubilee still controls a better chunk of Eastern Province, the opposition is working around the clock to unclench that grasp from the Jubilee. And you did see what happened in Rift Valley to begin with, in Eldoret. The kind of ecstasy and joy that radiated on people's faces as they got the message from NASA principals is a testament that things are actually shifting. You saw what happened in Meru. You look at the turnout of people who then came to attend the rally, but you don't talk about the figures per se without the reception from the people. And they were quite receptive of the message, quite receptive of the people who were representing NASA Brigade. And I think in due course, things are going to be totally different from what has been painted by the InfoTrack. But again, quite fundamentally, once the opposition, and I think everything is being calculated around timing, because timing is an important aspect in politics. But when the right time will come and the manifesto will be launched and a presidential flag bearer shall be announced, I think there will be a complete shift on what you see. But again, if you allow me to touch on Rift Valley, we have seen what is happening in Narok. There has been, a kind of gravitation towards the opposition. You saw it in Kajiado. We have seen it in places such as Baringo, Bomet, Turkana, Samburu, and many other places within the Rift Valley. So even though they may say, mathematically speaking, that the Jubilee administration controls a particular figure over and above what the opposition controls, but the figures are actually thinning. And, within the shortest possible space of time, I believe it will be a total different ballgame.
All right, and we'll be discussing this in a bit more detail, especially what this opinion poll means for the process of choosing a flag bearer for the opposition outfit. NASA political analyst Jared Okello, they're just putting into context the latest opinion poll by InfoTrack. They're putting Jubilee Party at the lead as being the most popular political party in the country. Now, that conversation will continue on part 2 of Weekend at 1 right here on KTN News. Moving on, Mombasa is now preparing to host President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is scheduled to have a major rally at the Tononoka grounds tomorrow. Aspiring Governor Suleiman Shabal this morning told Kenyans what to expect in the rally tomorrow. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
Sisi tumekuja hapa leo kuhakikisha kila kitu imepangika sawa sawa, na kesho mtaona mother of all rallies hapa Tononoka. Na wale ambao wanakaa wakisema coast is coded, endeleeni na hiyo ndoto yenu mpaka tsunami ya Jubilee ije iwafagie nyote kesho. Kutoka kesho watu wa Mombasa wamechoka, siasa za ngoma zitaisha, sasa mtaona siasa za maendeleo, kwa sababu kitu cha muhimu sana cha msingi ni watu wa Mombasa hawana kazi, na huyu kama ameshindwa afadhali apek virago vake aanze kwenda. It is time for a change. Tutaanza kusimamia economy ya Mombasa, na sisi watu wa Mombasa tuwe number 1 kwa mbele, si number 1 kwa nyuma. It is time for a change, and the change is starting tomorrow. Na mimi nawaambia hapa leo, mkitizama viongozi walioko hapa, tuko na Mheshimiwa Mahima kutoka Likoni, tuko na Mheshimiwa mzee wetu Kajembe Kigogo wa Jubilee hapa Mombasa, tuko na Karisa Nzai, tuko na Tenge, tuko na Jamalat, tuko Omar Shalo, tuko na viongozi wote walioko hapa. Jubilee nzima iko hapa. Lakini kesho ndio mtaona rally, mother of all rallies. Na tomorrow we are starting the final liberation of Mombasa once and for all. We're getting rid of all this nonsense in Mombasa. The people of Mombasa are tired of the politics of dancing and the politics of insulting national leaders. The people of Mombasa want to see proper leadership and proper focused economic and social development for Mombasa, for watu wote wa Mombasa, Waislamu na Wakristo, wa pwani na wabara, kila mtu. Kazi inaanza kesho.
Najua kwanza tangazo kubwa ambalo litakuwako ni pia kuelezewa, kwa vile watu wameenda wakafanya clearance ya katika chama chao. Watu wengi wataka kujua nominations zitakuwa vipi. Pia tutaweza kujulishwa wagombea vyama hivi viti mbalimbali hapa Mombasa County na tiketi ya Jubilee. Na ndio matarajio yetu, at least wananchi wa Mombasa wataweza kujua wale wanaogombea katika chama chetu hichi cha Jubilee.
The race for the Budalangi parliamentary seat is shaping up, with the sitting member of parliament Ababu Namwamba and a former area lawmaker Raphael Wanjala holding several rallies to woo for political support yesterday. Wanjala accused Namwamba of fueling chaos in their campaigns. Namwamba, on his part, while addressing a rally in Port Victoria, said his competitors had hatched a plan to tarnish his name by painting him as a leader who cherishes violence. The Budalangi legislator defended the embattled Auditor General Dr. Edward Ouko, saying he was doing a good job, but cartels were uncomfortable with his job.
Watu wanaeneza siasa za porojo hapa ya kwamba kuna tofauti kati yetu sisi kama chama cha Leba na jamii ya Wajaluo. Nataka kwanza mjue kwamba mimi mwenyewe Ababu Namwamba, damu ya Kijaluo iko ndani ya mishipa yangu. Mnanielewa? Kwani ninaitwa Unyalego kwa nini? Ninaitwa Unyalego kwa sababu damu ya Alego iko ndani ya mishipa yangu. Niko na marafiki wengi, niko na jamii tele kutoka kwenye jamii ya Wajaluo. Hakuna tofauti zozote kati ya makabila hapa Budalangi. Hakuna. Hakujawahi kuwa na tofauti chini ya uongozi wangu. Hakujawahi kuwa na tofauti kati ya makabila hapa Budalangi. Wewe kama unatafuta kura na unafanya siasa, fanya siasa zako bila kuleta tofauti za kikabila kati ya watu wetu.
Naenda kukutana na Mheshimiwa former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Na hata mapendekezo mmenipatia naenda kumpatia. Na nimwambie ya kwamba mimi nikienda kwa ODM na vile mmesema niende, lazima akuwe na imani na mimi, kwa sababu mimi si mtu ya kununuliwa. Mimi ni mtu nakuwa na msimamo, kama iko njaa ama iko kushiba. Mimi ni mtu wa msimamo. Na nikiwa naenda huko nitasimama na yeye kwa uzuri ama kwa ubaya. Siwezi enda tena nianze kununuliwa, na yeye ajue mimi naenda kumfanyia nini kazi. Na mimi nataka kuambia Mheshimiwa Uhuru kama rafiki yake ya kwamba si Budalangi pekee, ni kubaya, ni kubaya.
Ugenya Member of Parliament David Ochieng says he expects to retain his seat despite having defected from the area's popular party, ODM. Ochieng says his new party, the Movement for Democracy and Growth, will be a successful vehicle because he is still the man to watch in Ugenya. He was speaking in Ugenya during the first graduation ceremony at the Ugenya Training College.
The happenings in the last 1 week alone show that even the opposition is not ready to take over government. We've had doctors strike, we've had teachers strike, you've had everyone striking for the last few days. And the best we do is to try to win political points around those strikes and around those tragedies. As a country, I think we need to have focus. And you know that I've moved into a party called MDG, the Movement for Democracy and Growth. It's a party I'm going to defend my seat in this constituency. It's a party we started. It's a party of young people who believe that this country deserves better. And I'm certain that in our party we're going to ensure that things are done like you've seen in Ugenya Teachers College. In MDG, in this coming election, we're going to support the NASA candidate. In fact, for us, the sooner they name the person, the better, so that we can start preparing and selling their manifesto to the Kenyans. I think Kenyans are really waiting for that candidate, NASA, so that we can be able to, get this country out of the morass that it has today.
You're watching Weekend at 1. We take a short break now, but don't go too far. We have so much more, including sports news.